Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we will be reading from True Off My Chest. Our first post is by Free River. I had a baby as a result of an affair and now his wife is reaching out to me. I, F, 26, had an affair with a married man, M, 42, a few years ago. I had no clue he was married when we first met and hooked up. I obviously looked him up on social media, and while he did have photos of his kids on there was absolutely no mention or photos of a wife at all. I found out that he was married about a month after we first got together, but he told me it was just a marriage on paper, and that they basically lived separate lives, and agreed to remain married for practical purposes until the kids were older. They owned a business, which she really ran, and he was just financially involved in. I knew at the time that I probably shouldn't believe him, but I convinced myself it was true. I was in my early 20s and so attracted to him, and I guess almost infatuated with him. He made me feel so good. I know now that I should have ended it immediately, but I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. I was addicted to all of the attention he gave me, the great sex, the places he'd take me. I felt special. I was so naive. I got pregnant about a year into seeing him. I had always been so careful with preventing pregnancy, but during my relationship with him I took stupid risks. I was so high in lust with this guy, it's embarrassing. The things he'd asked me to do, I'd say yes to almost anything, even when I knew it was a bad idea. I was in love with him, or I thought I was. I hadn't intentionally wanted to get pregnant. I would of course dream about being his wife and having a family, but I knew that wouldn't be a possibility while he had this arrangement with his actual wife. I didn't get pregnant on purpose with any intention of him leaving her for me, even if I wished that we could be a real normal couple. I was surprised by how excited I was to be pregnant with his baby. I wanted that baby once I found out I was pregnant. The thought of carrying this baby of the man I loved was so special to me, but I knew he probably wouldn't feel the same. I told him I was pregnant, and he told me I couldn't keep the baby. I expected his reaction, but I was devastated, and it hurt me to my core that he didn't feel the same way I did. He offered to pay, to make a whole weekend of it somewhere exciting, and to buy me something special if I'd just please get rid of the baby. He explained that he didn't want any more kids, and that he couldn't openly be a father to another kid when he and his wife were still pretending to be happily married to the outside world. I agreed to do what he wanted, and we made plans for him to pick me up and find somewhere out of town to go get it done. I was all packed the night he was going to pick me up, but I started to feel really scared and really unsafe about the whole thing. I took my bag and checked myself into a hotel to hide because I couldn't go with him. I texted him to say I promised to never contact him again, and to never name him as the father or go after child support if he'd promised to leave me alone. At first he tried to sweet-talk me into doing what he wanted. When I didn't cave in, he said some very nasty things to me, and that I essentially better never contact him again or show up at his door. I have a 2-year-old now. At times it's been difficult, but overall we are thriving as best we can. I have kept my word about not naming his as the father or requesting child support. His wife contacted me on social media. Well, she's his ex-wife now. She wants to talk to me. She found out about me and told me that she divorced him 6 months ago. She wants her children to know their sibling and for my child to know his siblings. That's weird to me. I haven't responded back to her yet. I am unsure about how to approach this. How do I respond to this? I wonder if I'm being selfish by not exploring an option for my child to know his siblings, if she's being genuine about that. If I was married and my husband fathered a child outside of our marriage, I don't think I'd feel the same that she does. Our next post is by Papaya Plain. My husband bursted off and started divorce process after I complimented him. I do not even know how to explain it. I, 29F, am married to my husband, 28M, for 4 years. Together for 9. Our relationship has been perfect other than the intimacy part. My libido is on the lower side while he definitely has higher libido than me. It got worse in the last 2 years. We started marriage counseling after he pushed for it. I changed birth control first and then stopped using it altogether, but nothing worked. I just came to accept that I naturally have a low libido. My hubby seemed to understand it and stopped wanting intimacy altogether. We have been intimate in non-sexual ways all that time. We had sexual intimacy 3 times in the last 4 months. He was changing his clothes in our bedroom last week, and I noticed how his body changed after starting the gym. I genuinely wanted to compliment him and said, Hod hod hot. You make me want to have your babies. Maybe we should try soon? Jokingly. He stood there for a few seconds with silence and replied, You are not getting one. I will not trap myself with a baby. I asked what was wrong with him as I said my compliment jokingly. He raised his voice and said how I am mentioning intimacy now that I want a baby, and he'll be trapped in this marriage. After another few seconds of silence, he just said it's better we divorce and explain how unhappy he was. He said maybe I was not attracted to him and to find someone else who could ignite the fire in me. We were each other's first for everything. He later left the home without saying anything. I was shocked to hear all these. Everything seemed fine. I knew intimacy was a problem for him, but the way he looked at me with pure resentment destroyed me. 3 days later, I was served with a divorce agreement dividing every asset 50-50 and concluding the case in one court seeing. I tried to fight, but he does not seem to falter. I am considering offering a one-sided open marriage, but I do not want to lose the love of my life. I am trying to talk to him, beg him, but he does not want to change his mind. He has been sleeping in our guest bedroom since that day. I am lost on what to do. I do not even know why I create this post. Why do I have a low libido? I hate it. I hate losing my relationship and marriage because of that stupid reason. Our next post is by Spooky Black Cat. Last night I realized how my guy friends truly saw me. Now I can barely look at myself in the mirror. I, F22, went on a night out with a few work colleagues yesterday. It had been planned for over a month, and considering the January sales were on, I bought a dress I liked. I tried it on, and it honestly looked great on me. I'm a mid-sized girl for reference with a large chest. That part will come into play later for obvious unfortunate reasons. As the night went on, I was talking to my colleagues, laughing and drinking and having a good time, when they all of a sudden start talking about my chest. It's not exactly something I'm able to hide, and any item of clothing I wear, you can see them. They don't just disappear, as much as I would like them to sometimes. They started joking about them, trying to guess how much they weighed and how they're really sorry, but they're unable to make eye contact with me. I started to feel uncomfortable, and I made direct eye contact with 2 of my female co-workers. One of them was also wearing a dress, the other in a jumper. They just joined in on it, commenting on how my partner must be a very lucky guy indeed, and even going as far to try and compare chests, and I just felt completely off. After it eventually simmered down, though they were looking over fairly often, I decided to excuse myself. I went to the bathroom to run my hands under cold water, as I could feel anxiety creeping in when I decided to just take them out of view completely. It was reasonably cold outside, so I had worn a scarf and a coat to meet them, so I put it back on, being sure to fasten it up once again. No one said anything initially, but later on when we were trying to get into a bar, one of my male co-workers started pulling on my coat repeatedly. I told him to stop. I told him no. I told him to get off of me. I told him to cut it out, but he didn't listen, and everyone else was just finding it funny how I was getting wound up by his constant advances. Then when he realized I wasn't joking, he said, "Well, what's the point in having them if you're not going to show them?" More degrading comments about how they'll eventually drop, and they're only good when you're young and perky. I felt disgusting. I felt like a slab of meat. It was awful. I had felt good about myself heading out. I felt amazing, but by the end of the night, I really just wanted to go home. I'll be back in work at some point, but I just don't know if I'll ever be able to look at any of them the same way again, and it is such a shame because I truly respected them and considered them friends. Info: I work in hospitality, but it's privately run, no HR, just the people who own it, and I'm already looking for another job within my area, but the options are very slim, and I'm unfortunately not in a strong financial place to just drop it and move on to another job. Thank you for everyone who is commenting, and for taking the time to do so. It's very much appreciated, very deeply, and your kind words mean more than you could possibly know. On the downside, to the people who read this and see it as an opportunity to PM me and ask for proof of my bust and other lewd things, you are what's wrong with the world. Read the room and grow the F up. Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.